Well, the weather for the whole of the south of England will continue as it has for the next few weeks. It's going to be hot and moist, with temperatures rising steadily as time goes on. There's a chance of steamy moments as we move into the... sod it. We never wanted to do this. We never wanted to be weathermen and women making innuendos about hot atmospheres and drizzly countries. We didn't want to be child-friendly. We didn't want to bang on about being for over 18s only. We want to talk about our sexy adventures. We want to be lifestylers, leaping from bush to bush as we sail down the rivers of British sex clubs and mountains of crazy experiences. The cheeky purple mamba, the liquid silk pumped liberally into our hand, the rodeo classic brief harness complete with Tantus curve, the Enjoy Pure One stainless steel dildo, the hot octopus digit, the ever so short messages on Fab Swingers, the sexy friends on Twitter, and the mighty vanilla alternative. With my best girlie by my side, we'd swing, swing, swing.
Get in the gym or to your car. With our advice you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes. And talk about our sexy dates. It's getting hard for this to rhyme. Just as well, cause it's bed hopping time.
Thank you for joining us today. My name's Mr. H.
I'm Mrs. H.
What episode number is this, wife?
Fuck knows.
Don't call me fuck nose.
I literally don't know what episode this is.
It's literally written on the notes, which you don't have.
I don't have any notes.
It's episode 119 of the Bedhoppers podcast.
Or
yeah.
it's episode 1 of a new year.
Episode 1 of this new year.
This new year.
Yeah, we did one last year. Well, we did lots of episodes last year, but this is a new one for this year.
119.
Yes, we have special guests with us today.
We do.
Well, they're guests. I mean,
wow.
Depending on how they do throughout the course of the show, we'll
Sitting right here, you can't dismiss them like that.
Do you want to introduce them?
I do. I always want to introduce them.
Oh, go on.
It's the ever lovely Secret Vixen and Secret Stag.
Hello.
Hello.
There we go.
You don't
Well
even
done.
have a klaxon going.
No. I'll trust those two to be making the klaxon noise. Unbelievable.
So it's a happy new year.
It is a happy new year.
Brand new, shiny new year.
We are literally recording this on News Day.
Drinking some champagne.
It's confusingly a Saturday. I don't know why I find that so confusing.
Because I've got no idea. This is the weird gooch of the festive period.
The festive gooch.
You don't know what the festive gooch, where you just don't know what kind of day it is, and it'll all blur into one.
Isn't that what like Scrooge wanted? Like a festive gooch, or was that a goose?
Go down to the shop and buy the biggest gooch you can, boy.
Yes.
The festive undercarriage, if you will, where you don't know what day it is anymore.
Well, yeah, but it is New Year's Day.
It is New Year's Day. We know that much.
Yes, because I guess we might be a little bit hungover, maybe.
Gently.
A little bit jaded.
No.
A little bit tired.
I'm definitely tired.
Deprived.
Yes.
Definitely tired.
And why is that, Secret Vixen?
Because of the wonderful conversation that went deep into the night
Very
and
deep.
morning. Oh,
Great recovery.
Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of conversation last night. Did you?
Oh, really?
Yeah. There were many conversations to be had.
We had a wonderful night.
So what happened, Mrs. H? Tell us.
Well, we had a little soiree to welcome a new year in.
We did.
We did. And we couldn't make it a big soiree because, we have to be careful.
Because we don't have many friends.
Don't have many friends. No, so we had a limited small gathering and welcomed the new year in naked singing Old Lang Syne.
I like to think we welcomed it in with a bang.
We certainly did. I've actually, one of my funniest recollections was someone saying they needed to set a timer to stop all play before midnight so we could welcome a new year in.
Did it work?
Yes.
we did.
There we go. See?
There was a pause.
I like to think that person may or may not have been a genius.
Maybe so. We're talking about Alexa here, right?
Yeah, well, I was yelling at Alexa at one point to try and... But ironically, right, we were sort of chilling out today, sort of post all of the New Year's Eve madness.
Yeah.
And I heard this noise upstairs, and it was actually Alexa telling me that the alarm was going off at 11:55 a.m.
The moment's passed.
Yeah, thanks.
We
Poor
don't need it now.
Alexa. She's also suffering from the festive gooch.
Yeah, she's fully gooched up.
She really is.
So what else happened? Come on, tell us. Guess the goss.
I wasn't sure I was allowed to dish goss.
You can give a little bit of goss.
Give a little bit.
You can a little bit.
All right, well, I did get to utter my favourite phrase, which is, this is like the last days of Caligula.
Really? I thought your favourite phrase was "fuck my life" after being stuck in the storm and fortnight every time.
Specifically relating to when I'm stuck in the storm and fortnight.
Do I need to get out of the car?
Yes.
Yes, I do say
that's a goodie.
that. I do say that a lot. Yes, it was extremely exciting. There was quite a little gathering. We all got a bit naked.
Yeah.
There was some hot tub.
There was some hop in action.
There was definitely some hop in
The
action.
hopping surely worked its magic.
It did. It
really
is a
did.
magical place. It's like Toys R Us, but now and still going.
All it needs now is a smoke machine.
Yes,
and a
I've been
slushy
thinking,
machine.
and a slushy machine, and a hot dog machine.
Popcorn?
No, I'm definitely with you
no.
on the hot dog machine. It needs a hot dog machine.
That would be good, like a little one of those
Not enough
rotisserie kind
sausage
of.
in there already.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, that's a surprise comment coming from you. Never enough sausage for you. Is that the headlines?
enough.
Never enough.
I'm fairly sure I saw Secret Vixen enjoying several sausages last night.
I literally made a sausage this morning.
It was a lovely sausage.
It was. She wolfed it down.
Not
So
just the
much-
tips.
Or would it be
So
foxed it
much
down? I don't know.
Foxed it down.
Foxed it down.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to bring up?
There was some nudity, some champagne flowing.
This sounds like a great film. Some
know.
nudity, bit of swearing.
Decadence. Yeah. There was lots of games. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And just a really nice catch up.
There was a tragedy over the games, though.
Oh, well, I didn't know we were going to bring that.
I knew this was coming.
Did you?
Yes,
I
because
do like to announce it.
For me, the pain is still too near.
look, you were beaten fair.
The wrong team won.
It's true. There
the wrong
was definitely
team
some bad
win?
calls on or selective hearing.
There was definitely some selective hearing going on. There was a match of Gutterhead, which if you've never played Gutterhead, highly recommend
Great
it.
game.
It's sort of naughty Pictionary with a bit of mime thrown in.
It's
I'd also
filthy
like to
Pictionary.
say that the other team were also doing, like, whilst they had selective hearing, they also tuned in to our conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
amount of
100%.
things we would
Gosh,
say, and then
what?
suddenly like, oh, it's this. I was like, that's what we just said.
Also,
No.
did you notice, Secret Vixen, that they were holding their drawing pad close to their team so that we couldn't see
I
what they were
couldn't see
drawing?
it.
Yeah, but they were looking
Cheats.
very specifically at our masterpieces that we were creating.
They were threatened.
I would just like Mr. H to announce if you won the game. That's what I want to know.
Well, clearly
Did you
we
win
didn't,
the
and
game?
that's why we're being
Not that particular
Well, there you
game. I mean, I won the night, I think, generally speaking, by having
know
such
what?
We were
marvellous
all winners.
people
We
there,
were
yeah.
on the final square together, though.
Yeah.
You
It was a
sit on
comeback.
the throne of
Thrashing.
lies once again.
Why do I sit on a throne of
You
lies?
started the new year on a bad vibe now.
Really?
You lied
Well,
on day one.
I lied.
Talking about our underhand tactics, which weren't happening.
Th-
Underhand at all.
Underhand.
Yeah,
He admitted it.
exactly.
You heard there.
Yeah. This is
Slander.
recorded for
Prosperity.
Yes,
Yes.
that one. That's the one. Anyway, the reason why we've asked these lovely people to join us here today is because they were in our house. So it was much more convenient to talk
really
with them than to just lock them outside while
Yeah.
we're
It's
recording.
Nice to be appreciated.
We're
Yeah,
just
and
gonna have to talk
default,
with
default. So what we thought we'd do is talk a little bit about New Year. Not our New Year, but often people sort of when they're going into New Year have, you know, they think, let's try something different. Let's try something saucy and exciting and marvellous, like swinging or hotwifing. So since we have a crack team of experts in the room, that we'd talk about some of the things that you might like to try if you're a person that's exploring the lifestyle, looking to get into this, and see what top tips we can share with you.
Excellent.
Hopefully there'll be good tips for people that have been around in it for a while as well. Or if not, it should at least prove amusing as we continue to slag each other off over the course of the podcast. I think that should be fair. Mrs. H,
Yes.
what is your first top tip for people that are looking to, you know, spice things up a little bit, join the lifestyle maybe? They've kind of,
Spice things
yeah,
up.
they got to New Year and they went, you know what, this is amazing. It's a great New Year. It's going to be exciting. Last year was so fucking terrible. Let's make this so fucking amazing. Let's be naughty
Well,
swingers.
All right. Let's be clear that I wouldn't recommend using non-monogamy as a way of spicing up things if it's to patch things up in a failing
Absolutely.
relationship.
Not a plaster.
It's not a plaster. It's not a magic bullet that will just save your marriage from failing.
Absolutely.
No.
So just to be clear and get that out of the way, this is absolutely something you should consider to enhance what you have.
But if it was something maybe that you had a chat with a loved one that evening, you thought,
So,
what could we do?
I mean, I often, recollect with Mr. H about how we kind of got into this. And I know we've covered it before, but it's something I reflect on a lot because it reminds me of how we kind of stumbled into things a little bit. when we had the opportunity of maybe a threesome or something, and then we kind of thought, oh, that could have been fun, but obviously we were too scared to do anything because we hadn't really researched it and thought.
Well, you didn't seem that scared because you were just making out with a woman.
No, it's true.
I don't believe that for a second.
However, it ignited a spark, I think, that made us go away and have conversations.
Did it set your by loins all aflame?
The conversation is the big thing here I'm talking about. So the conversation is the catalyst that will give you the excitement to want to pursue more things, or it will also allow you to open up a relationship and talk about what it is that you want to try together. And that may lead to nothing. It may just lead to hot sex at night because you've had a conversation that excites you both. And it may be better in fantasy than reality. Also, though, it might turn into something really fun. So the conversation is probably my top tip.
And I think having that conversation can be quite difficult, though.
It is. I would say some of the messages we receive are often framed around, I want to get so-and-so into swinging. How do I do that? And we always
You just force them. You put a bag over the head and drag them to a club.
We always go back and say, well, you don't. You have a conversation, you have an open dialogue together. You don't just try and get your woman to come around to your way of thinking, because that's a recipe for disaster.
You have to take that leap of faith.
Yeah, if I may, I've had messages from people before or seen things online where people have almost tried to trick their partner into...
Oh, we've had several people before
sense.
say we've left the blog open hoping that my partner would see it.
Like, no, what are you doing? I know it's such a cliche saying communication, but actually having those open, real discussions are scary, but important. I think you can't move forward until you're on the same page and you know what each other want.
But it's that trigger, though, isn't it? It's that, how do you bring it up? And I think, I can understand why people might leave the blog open. By the way, Secret Vixen has a blog. You can go and visit that if you want.
But that's a really interesting way of doing something. If you're just too shy or worried to open up that conversation topic, then yes, accidentally on purpose leaving some little breadcrumbs.
Is it a little bit passive aggressive? Do you think?
Trail of I actually
like leaving the washing up undone for 2 days.
I actually really hope that they find this and then go, oh, I saw this thing. What were you looking at? So that's actually quite a nice way of leading into it.
Or sort of staying at home and just wanking furiously over swinger porn until your wife turns up and you caught me looking at this swinger porn.
Now let's have an honest conversation.
Yeah, let's have an honest conversation about many things now.
Or actually, if you don't want to do that, then maybe just watching something that has the topic as a kind of underlying theme.
Well, a few episodes ago you talked about different TV shows.
We did.
We did indeed.
Like Game of Keys and things like that. And
yeah.
Can we have the true name?
Would you like to give us
no.
things like that? They get the conversation started, even like the Swingers TV show and things like that. And it brings that taboo topic to the forefront and allows you to maybe just get the foot in the door.
I think quite often, for me, certainly my approach is around putting myself in that position and understanding how I might feel. And I find that media like the TV shows and things like that to be really useful for kind of exploring that piece. And certainly in our early days, we found it really beneficial to kind of look at films, look at TV shows, podcasts, whatever, and sort of talk around what, how would we feel in this situation? Would that be hot? Would it be sexy? Would it be cool? Or would I run away screaming and crying? Normally it was the latter one, but it did mean that by the time we actually came to doing anything, we had a fair idea of kind of what we were interested in, or at least a general pointer into whatever direction it was going to be. But also, I'd thought through enough examples of, well, if that was me, how would I react? How might I sort of take my leave and go through that experience?
And maybe what you don't want as well.
Yeah.
You can at least talk about, well, I definitely don't want to do this because that's too much.
That's important. Yeah.
As important as knowing what you do want. And you may not know what you want until you're kind of there in the moment and you can explore it.
And often what you want can change over time as well. I know that's sort of the case.
It's a journey, isn't it? It's where do you start that journey? And that's sort of what we're talking about here, really, isn't it? With you have the conversation and then actually you can start to do some research. And then
you don't launch into, I'd love to see you have a gangbang with 7 guys. That would be great. That's not the opening.
No,
gambit.
I'd be quite shocked if they went, okay.
That's the opening gambit. Yeah.
I had one of those last week. Oh, you missed it. Although I think that was your opening gambit this morning.
It truly was my opening gambit this morning. But as always with Secret Vixen, it wasn't a hard no.
But there was a conversation, sort of.
So once you've started having that conversation, one of the things that I'd really encourage people to do is some actual research. Because we all know how wonderful research is, especially over the last year, and all of our wonderful Facebook experts that have been able to help people. But if you actually go out and seek some genuine information, it not only helps you kind of understand how other people have navigated it, but it also, as I was saying, it can put you in the position of what would it feel like if we were doing this? And that's so invaluable. Mrs. H, your favourite things of research?
My favourite research thing is porn. Pornhub.
You can't use
twice in lockdown.
I mean, porn definitely shows everything exactly how it is.
Yeah,
so
it's like
fine, right?
reality, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay, actually, I love porn.
Don't call me Ashley.
No, I do love porn because it can give you so many avenues to explore in your fantasies. You don't have to make them reality.
And we're yet to find a tentacle monster, to be fair.
Yeah. And Mrs. H has hit the nail on the head. It can be a valuable research as part of a fantasy.
Completely.
But understanding that it is
you may not
fantasy.
know that you like something until you accidentally see it on an internet or something.
Shall we have a look at your browser history?
Nope.
This is going to prove
I'm
interesting.
going to
Oh,
burn my
dear.
phone. I'll be back in a minute. No, I'll be back tomorrow. Who am I kidding? No, I think porn's really, really helpful. I mean, if nothing else, to have some conversations with each other about... I think we had a really fun conversation once, going back a few years, you and I, where
We've only had one.
where
I remember it really well.
actually decided to be a little bit more open and trust each other and invite each other to look at maybe what was last in their kind of naughty browsing history or something like that. Or it was a kind of, what would you look at now if you were going to, have a little moment?
What would you look at now?
Oh.
Is it that 7-guy gangbang?
No, I
tentacles.
think you'll find that's your bag. So, for example, Mr. H would probably default to something anal related.
Maybe. It depends on my mood,
Yeah.
but that would probably
I know
be
it
a
depends on
default.
your
We're on
Of
a
course it
tangent. I'm
does.
liking this. What would yours be then?
Oh, you don't want to know.
We do, that's why we've asked you. Come on, you've got to tell us now.
Oh, for goodness sake. Well, we've covered this before extensively, I'm sure. but
Yes, and we'll cover it again
just-
now. Yes.
So,
Drum roll.
You don't need a drum roll. It's bad for the audio.
Like you know.
So, for example, we know that I do have a penchant for hentai.
Yeah.
I do like tentacle porn, but not specifically massive squid tentacles, particularly just that genre. Of
What other
kind
sort of tentacles are there?
So I just
Yeah, what other
Yeah.
tentacles are there?
I'm intrigued.
oh my goodness.
Hentai sex ones.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I just like that genre generally. So
Okay.
hentai is fun. I also probably like watching women together. That's like, a thing. I wouldn't necessarily hunt out anal porn.
No, I didn't think you would.
Anything involving probably masturbation is probably quite appealing to me.
You do like watching a bit of masturbation.
The voyeuristic side of porn.
All of these can inform couples or
Yeah.
singles of what they want or what they would do. I mean, I know when I watch porn, I often watch multiple men to one female, like wife porn, which obviously feeds into my
Of course.
fantasy, as she smiles at me knowingly. Thank you, wife.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question, but I
knew it was
suspect
coming this way. I was like, oh no. Well, actually, as I have said before on the blog, and even I think on this podcast, that actually before embarking on this sort of adventure, like I hadn't indulged in porn or masturbation or anything like that. And if I'm honest, I still haven't massively. But obviously, thanks to joining Twitter, I do get fed it now. And I do now sort of find myself watching the video clips and things that come up. And I do think the ones that I do sort of get a bit steamy over, funnily enough, are the ones where it is, yes, a wife and multiple men.
Well, that's
News to you, isn't
There
it?
Me
you
thinking,
go.
wow.
Revelation.
I think I'm gonna pop out of the room with the browser history. This is age.
What you gentle listeners cannot see is Secret Stag's face has gone so colourful and he's smiling so much now. I don't think he can stand up ananymore.
Are we talking about?
Whereas I think I've probably gone the same colour as the drink of champagne. And
Well, these just say New Year's, new starts, plans for the year. There we are.
Honestly, I think my biggest advice is have fun with whatever it is you're doing, because if it's something that's going to get your motor racing together, that's a good thing. And if you're sharing it, the worst thing is when you have little secrets. Not that secrets are bad, because sometimes, yes, you know, you don't necessarily need the access to the deepest recesses of someone's mind. However, anything that gets you a bit hot under the sheets together, it's got to be good that you can share an experience, even if it is just one of you describing what you want to see, or something that makes you feel, you know, a bit sexy.
I think the thing with research, though, is that it does help you explore some of that. So not just porn in terms of research, but blogs like the Secret Vixen blog, like our podcast, and like hundreds of other podcasts and TV shows or whatever out there. Anything that helps you get your head around what you're interested in, or have that conversation, or put yourselves in that space is valuable research.
And do reach out as well, because I do love it when I get sort of emails from sort of people asking, and it's a lovely feeling to think that you might be helping somebody, because if when we did sort of embark, I didn't do that so much. I did start to read things, and sometimes obviously when you are reading things, you don't necessarily get the truest sense of things, whereas I think actually if you can approach someone sometimes to have just, even if it is via a keyboard, sort of a connection with somebody where you can ask them questions and sort of get a response.
I see it like two levels. We talked about how you can be introduced using porn to see the fantasy, but using things like podcasts, blogs, directly talking to people can give you more of the reality of these things. And, you know, non-monogamy isn't a life for everybody, and I think you need to look at the reality as well. Again, conversations, have those together.
It is communication is so key, isn't it?
important.
And as soon as you start squirreling away things that you're too afraid to have conversations about, then you should probably ask yourself, why is that happening? Do I not have enough trust in my partner to share some of this? Even if it doesn't go anywhere, you could at least open up a bit and have a bit of faith in each other.
There is something in that, having an understanding, though. So if your partner comes to you with sharing these fantasies and these desires, is trying not to be judgmental about them, because it can really, you know, as much as these conversations can be a real enlightening moment and quite a joyous moment, it's really important to recognise that it can require a bit of processing and a bit of understanding. And sometimes you need to take a step back and kind of reflect on it. So if you're, you know, it might be that your partner's just told you that they want to start swinging or being a hot wife or whatever it is. And if you're listening to this podcast and it's your first time, it's okay to be worried about it. It's okay to think it through. It's okay to go, and take that moment. But try not, if you can help it, try not to judge that person. But come back with questions, you know, write a list, go back to them, have that, you know, find out more and try and explore it with them.
I mean, as the person who had somebody open up, one of the first things that actually did go through my mind was, wow, how vulnerable he must be feeling right now. Because if I obviously was quite blindsided by the conversation when it came up, it wasn't anything I expected to hear. But that was my initial reaction was, wow, he's just literally opened himself up. I could have sort of gone off the handle, but even I needed some time just to sort of process, go, did he really just say that? And I mean, I will admit that I probably sort of was on board a lot quicker than anyone.
We had really tremendous sex that night. So.
We did. So that was my
because
process.
we talked about it.
But we did. We spoke about it. And yeah, you have got, I said earlier, you have to take that leap of faith. And if perhaps you're not in that position to take that initial leap of faith, then that might be a sort of a sign that maybe now's not the time to have the conversation if you don't feel like you can even actually broach the subject.
Exactly that.
It can take time as well. And what I would say is, if you're the person that's bringing this up with your partner, and they instantly stay away from it, give them time to process and don't keep on at them, because it's only going to make matters worse. I know this feels like basic relationship advice, but just continuously putting it in someone's face is not going to help.
And that is a really good point, because actually that did happen with us. Whilst I was quite accepting of it, it got to a point where when things looked as though they might start to happen, and we started to make sort of contacts with people, it got to the point where I actually did say to Secret Stag, we need to slow down, because we were naturally both excited about it, and it did sort of, all of our conversations kept coming back to the same thing.
You've got to look at it from both sides. I mean, from my side, you know, I had this fantasy for like 10 years, and I'm sure there's some listeners out there who maybe have similar swinging or non-monogamy fantasies out there. Suddenly you talk to your partner and they're like, oh, I might be into this. They might be really receptive, and suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was with me, and you can go too much too fast, too quick.
Yeah.
And again, slow it down, honest conversations about the reality of what you're doing. And
It's very easy to get carried away, though, and
Yeah, of
especially if
course.
you know,
gosh, yeah.
New Year, great, let's get something going. It's going to be an amazing year. Let's dive right into it, and that can often lead to sort of people jumping too far too quickly, and not enjoying it. And it's, you know, certainly we found that our first few experiences, not that we rushed into it, but were a bit crap, you know, and we've talked about them on the show before. And it took a while for us to figure out how this could work for us and how it's going to really add value to our relationship. So what I would say is that take your time, think about it. As exciting it is to rush into things, make sure that you're doing the right thing. There comes a point when you've got to jump in.
You can do lots of research, and that's super helpful and necessary, but you have to take that leap at some point and open up to the partner, and then hopefully continue the research together.
Exactly that. And when you do decide to sort of jump in, this is a handy link, this, isn't it, right? This is as smooth as hell.
Almost like it was planned.
So, almost like I've written down
I've actually been reading Mrs. H's notes here.
Yes.
Very, very
invisible.
thorough.
Extensive, aren't they?
Very thorough.
Yes, it looks incredibly like a blank page on that.
No, only certain people can read them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Team Whispers.
I see. Right. Fine. But anyway, if you are looking to explore non-monogamy and you're in the UK, for example, what we'd say is go to a site like Fab Swingers, which is pretty much the biggest site in the UK. It's a bit clunky. It's not the most wonderful of experiences, but it's functional.
It does what it does. It does what it needs to do. Absolutely.
But it obviously also will probably scare you off a bit.
Yes.
But I think that's
It's a bit of a shell shock to people, I think.
I'm sure we're going to come on to this. Not necessarily the site itself. Unfortunately, not everyone
maybe
uses
the
the
people
site.
you encounter.
Some of the users on the site aren't maybe looking what you're looking for.
And they'll all be
approaching
at
things the way
different,
you
they'll
are
all be at
approaching
different
things.
stages in their adventures anyway. So some people are basically just out for hookups, and that's never going to change.
And
that's
that
just the reality
absolutely
of some
might be
life.
what the person that's listening to this is after. But I think Secret Stag is absolutely right. It's such a whenever you put a bunch of people onto a site, you're going to get a whole wealth of lifestyles, approaches, and mindsets, and you just have to bear in mind that when you do go onto that site, there is going to be a whole lot of that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And
You've got to be prepared to actually invest time.
Like you invest time on that, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on there all the time, like checking, writing berries and stuff.
so what you need is a very strong fabmin person.
You do, and I have the best. I
Thanks,
will
wife.
admit it. I have the best fadmin.
Thank you, wife. Setting you up.
Thanks.
You're going to love it. 2022 is your year.
The other thing that I'd recommend as well, actually, is if, Fab is great. And it does give you that sort of digital instant access, and it does let you go into the forums and chat to people. But actually talking to people face to face is as powerful. And one of the things I would recommend is going to clubs, particularly on newbie nights, and kind of experiencing that, but also looking at having socials or just face-to-face meets with people in a safe environment where you can ask questions. And we've been to meets where people have showed up with a list, literally a printed out list, and unfurled it and literally gone through question by question by question.
Yeah, but I love that because people are doing things the right way.
It's exactly that, the right way.
They're treating things, their relationships with respect, because they're allowing each other the air time of kind of doing it slowly together in the right way. So I always feel really excited when I see people doing things in a good way like that.
Plus, you like seeing a list getting crossed off, don't you?
Love a list, mate.
You do like a list.
But socials as well, particularly if they are a social in like a bar or somewhere, it instantly removes the sort of the really scary part. Like you can know that you're going to go there, you're going to go just have some nice drinks, you're going to hopefully meet some people, but you're not going straight to a club where obviously things might actually, you're sort of, I think if you, I mean, I'm speaking from having never been to a club.
We're going to resolve that this year, right?
Oh, yes. But I think on the initial sort of start of our journey, when clubs were mentioned, I just thought well, it's going to be like Caligula, as going back to the earlier comment, which, having already spoken to people, it isn't the case. But the socials, I think, for us, when we went to the first social, which was obviously your lovely social, it was such a wonderful, chilled experience. We made lovely connections with some really lovely people, but it was completely non-threatening. Like, I didn't feel like I had to go there and I was going to go home with someone that straight away. It was just a wonderful place to sort of have that initial meet.
So important. Even, the four of us, we had a little social, didn't we?
We
did.
We did.
And it just gives you that time to talk to the person. And whether it's a meet face-to-face or even a virtual, we had virtual meets,
really
We
lovely
did.
virtual social a couple of weeks ago, which you very much enjoyed. Secret Vixen. Actually remains quiet on that one. And it's so vital to see those people and connect and think, maybe we can take this to the next point.
And there is something quite amazing about meeting people face to face, and it can totally change your opinion. And as much as the digital world is useful, we can all misread into people's spellings, grammar, whatever, but we can also, you can make judgments on people, as Mrs. H's want to do.
Hey.
Well, I remember rolling up to meet these folks.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember off the Twitter.
Who are these people?
Wow.
Yeah. Who is this wench?
I'll have you know, I'm a very temperate-minded, non-judgmental individual.
Have not those judgments been proven true? She is quite wench-like.
Well, maybe, but what I've also loved about that, Jen, is that when you do meet people and they are as awesome as you folks, and there are people out there that are awesome, it totally changes your mind, and it totally, and you kind of, you develop these relationships that are absolutely amazing. And we've met people socially that we've never ever played with, have no intention of playing with them, but actually I'd consider them close friends. And I love the fact that we've got those relationships, especially within the lifestyle, where you can go back and you can have these really open, nice conversations. It doesn't always have to lead to a pants-off situation.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways I've had from all this, is that I love the little thrill of excitement that you get from having a conversation that's slightly adult.
Oh yeah.
And even if you don't act on it or do anything, it's so nice and exciting to get that rush of, I'm talking to people about this, and you get an opportunity to not sell it, but you kind of get the opportunity to put yourself, your perception to other people. You can change it, can't you?
Well, we were talking about this a little bit in the car just yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Was it yesterday? Day
Maybe.
before? I don't know. Quite recently.
One of the gooch days.
One of the gooch days. And about the fact that once you've started developing these relationships within the lifestyle, that actually conversations with your regular vanilla, boring, terrible, awful friends becomes so vanilla, and you crave those conversations that can go anywhere. And it doesn't have to be conversations about sex or anything like that, but the fact that you can go down that alley.
You said it exactly, but a conversation that can go anywhere.
Yeah.
I have friends that I talk about certain things, but I know there'll always be a limit to what I can talk about.
Yeah.
I can't say, I really enjoy watching the football. Wasn't that game great? Also, my wife got fucked by this guy last week.
I had an amazing
It was crazy.
wife. It was great.
Nearly as good as the football.
We all. But when you're with friends like that, or even just meeting like-minded people like that, like at your social, it's that freedom to really express the whole sort of get everything that you're thinking.
Yeah, the whole
I love
range,
the
the whole range of
flirtatious
everything.
element to it.
Oh, hang on. What do you mean? You've brought flirting into it.
No, it's not. It's as Mrs. H said, it's the sort of having the adult conversation where you're naturally, we're going to sort of start to flirt a little bit with it. You sort of almost sort of making innuendos and things. And actually, it's so exciting just to have that.
Mr. H is the king of innuendo,
Yeah.
we know.
Is he really?
No, I'm not.
never.
Her down.
I'm not
Never.
flirty at all.
Put her down.
As he caresses my arm.
Stop it.
But it is true. I even commented on that recently to Secret Stag, that I went to a lovely sort of evening with friends, and it was really lovely. And I came home and I said, the one thing I really missed was the flirtatious. I missed that sort of just open conversation. No one was sort of filtering themselves or censoring anything. It was just sort of cheeky.
It's mischievous, isn't it? I love that to it. What I also like, though, is that swingers tend to be really good at telling stories. And they tend, because they've all got them.
Yeah.
Because there's 101 things that can go wrong and right. But either way, it can be a great story. And what I love is when you meet new people, or when you kind of go to a social and you sit down and you almost trade war stories. It's like that scene in Jaws, you start hoiking your leg up and shark bite, and this is
scar on my chest,
all that stuff. But I love the fact that these are all little learnings that you take away. You're like, holy shit, why did you do that?
Your horizons again, like things that you thought, oh no, that's never going to happen for us, and you're like, oh, actually, that sounds quite interesting.
Jokes aside, we talked about how we started off and had the honest conversations, and we looked at things together. And now the fact that you and I are talking like jokingly, openly here on this podcast about you having a gangbang is somewhere I never thought we'd be. We had to
Stop trying to incept it.
I'm putting it into my mind. This is just getting in there.
But I think where this is going for me, this all sums up nicely as normalising sex for me.
Yeah,
and I like nothing more than being able to normalise what we do, and it's not shameful, and it's not something I want to go around feeling guilty for enjoying. I absolutely love my sex life. I love that I have this open, tremendous levels of trust with friends, like all the people that I come into contact with. This is the one piece that kind of underpins everything for me, and it's the fact that this is normal. There's nothing about it that I think, why should I feel guilty sharing what a great life I have? It's not about bragging about what my sex life is. It's more about, these are just things that every adult can enjoy if they wanted to. You don't have to have a shit sex life. You can have a great one. And actually the best way to do that is by sharing experiences and talking to people about how you achieve that. So
you can have a shit sex life with lots of different people.
But I look back to some of my formative kind of adult years, and I think I had some real shit sex. I really did, like some really crappy experiences that I don't really want to, bring back up. But also, why were they shit? One of those reasons is lack of communication, not asking for what I want, not telling people what I enjoy, all those things that led to this, it being my own fault that some things were shit. And now it didn't have to be, because I can have amazing conversations and share experiences and learn and kind of form new ones.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up experiences here. He says, smoothly taking us on to the final sort of section of this, which is around first experiences. Like you've had the conversation, right?
Yeah.
You've done your research. You've kind of met people. You've gone out and you've built connections. And now the time has come finally for you to go out and have a first experience. Secret Vixen, I turn to you. Your first experience. How did you feel before that happened?
I mean, absolutely terrified. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was absolutely petrified. But alongside that fear was an utter sense of excitement and thrill and intrigue. And I've always been one to sort of go to a bar with somebody first, to actually just sit together in the same space and just have a conversation. And then for me, one of the things I love most about lifestyle is that sense of intrigue. It's that anticipation of actually getting to that point. And then, you will have the fear. It's natural. We are human beings. We are sort of natural flighty creatures. But it's the intoxication almost of that excitement of, wow, this is about to happen. That I think that it's intoxicating.
Yeah,
that's
getting ready, dressing yourself and putting your makeup on, for example.
Yeah.
Those last minute messages between yourselves and the people you're meeting, or
and the thing I love, it's the thrill of a first date, but without you having to think, okay, is this going to go somewhere? Is this going to be my husband? You can just go and be like, if they don't like me, oh, that's a shame, move on. It's not going to impact the rest of my life if I don't sort of fall madly in love with this person. And again, you don't have to sort of censor yourself, because you can actually just be your truest self. And if they don't like it, okay, fine, fair enough, we'll move on and we'll see if we can find somebody else.
Yeah. One of the biggest takeaways we had, I think, was the thrill of the first kiss.
Oh, yes.
Because in a long-term relationship, I mean, we've been together, over 2 decades now, and we're so lucky to have experienced first kisses over and over and over again. And it's those moments that you don't expect to recreate in a long-term relationship, because why would you? Because that's not what monogamy teaches us. And it's not orthodox, is it, to go around kissing people and getting those butterflies? But it was amazing that we could share that. And then also even better to talk about it together again.
Comparing notes.
Yeah.
But actually, talk to each other about how it made you feel and how exciting it is to kiss someone for the first time.
Well, I think of the amount of times I've been to weddings and people are like, oh, this is this is the last person I'm going to sleep with for the rest of my life. I was like,
Right.
We've almost been really.
can I tell
Got
you
a
about
story.
it?
Can I speak to you about the Book of Mormon?
Yeah.
But those butterflies, like that I talk about, there's something that everyone loves experiencing, surely. That adrenaline rush of not knowing what's over the bend of the roller coaster, and that kind of rush of adrenaline you get from how is this kiss going to make me feel?
But that does come back to, because you have that first kiss with somebody else. But what's even more amazing, I've found, is that moment when the two of you reconnect.
Yeah.
And it is almost like you're sharing a first kiss again, because there's a passion there, there's a reclamation. I know not a lot of people like that phrasing, but it's that joining together again. It's that, being with your partner.
Well,
that's
certainly
amazing.
in the sort of the Hotwife lifestyle, it's called reclaiming,
yeah.
and it's a completely different sensation, but not in a bad way. Like the amount of times when I've been out and I've experienced that first kiss with a potential sort of ball, as I would call it, but then going back and sort of I'll then kiss my husband, and it just feels a completely different sensation, but not in a bad way. It heightens everything. I just feel your senses are just so heightened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you two, Mr. and Mrs. H, today, but Secret Vixen and I this morning, I watched her do some stuff last night. She did some stuff.
I think you filmed her doing a lot of stuff.
Her doing some stuff, and just we've been seeking each other's hands and things today, and having those moments, sharing each other and holding each other, and just
you naturally become more tactile.
You do. I think that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just wanting to reconnect with your other half for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
People are listening and they want to try and take this change in their relationship on. You go through the steps, make sure you communicate, because it can be done. You can do it, but slowly.
It's interesting. There's always a point in our adventures where I kind of flip a switch in my head and I just want to go back to you.
And try it again to make sure that he doesn't like it.
Gives it another chance.
Gives it another chance.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true, we certainly found, of our lifestyle of experiences, in that it didn't quite work for us. It wasn't quite the right thing, and it needed tweaking and adapting. Needed a different recipe, perhaps, if you want to put it that way.
Don't throw a towel in.
Yeah.
I'm going to quote Aaliyah: if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again.
There we go.
Pick yourself up and try.
Are we going to go for a whole Master Bruce thing here as well? Why do we fall over, Master Bruce, or whatever it is?
So
there we go.
Pick ourselves up again.
There we go.
You are.
Thanks, Batman. Anyways, I think what we're going to do is wrap this up, because I'm hoping that we're going to be able to go out and get something to eat in a minute.
Yes.
I mean, that sounds wonderful.
I mean, this sounds good, right?
I'm pretty excited about
I'm very
this, not
excited
going to
about the
lie.
situation.
It's
So-
way better than reclamation sex.
I'm
I'm going to have like 50 poppadoms. I'm not
You
going
can
to
have
lie.
both these things. You can have poppadoms and the reclamation.
Wow.
I would
Living your best
probably
life.
give it an hour after the food.
Just an hour. Okay. But what I will say is, it's really important to have the conversation. It's really important to do your research if you can, to go and try things and to meet people and go face to face if you can, or even sort of on, a platform that you can virtually do that, just to ask questions and interact, and then to keep all of this stuff around your first experiences in mind. Now, what better way to go and meet people?
So smooth.
I know, right? Than at the Bedhoppers Social 2.0, which is happening on the 4th of February, right?
Is it?
4th of Feb.
4th of Feb.
All being well.
All being well. Friday, the 4th of
We're
Feb.
going to be there.
We are.
Hooray! Hey, I know they paid for the tickets yet.
We have.
Yeah.
I paid yesterday.
You two could talk
Hang
to
on.
Secret Stag and Secret
I'm sure there was a
Vixen
bartering
the
system in
person.
play, yeah.
Well, there wasn't.
I tried to get a discount, but
Wow.
got rejected.
Rejected.
You should have done that at the end of the night rather than at the start. That would have, you may have been a different story.
Oh, foolish.
I'd have charged you double.
Oh, wow. I'm not coming now.
Oh my God.
That's a
Sell my
lie.
ticket.
She'll come.
She'll go.
And then she'll turn up to the event.
Hey,
Sage.
So, 4th of February, please get in touch with us at bedhoppersuck@gmail.com if you want to come along, or reach out to us on Fab at Bedhoppers.
Yes.
What I want to say, that Steve Vixen is pointing out to me on my own show notes, is that if you didn't know, this social is happening in Southampton. So if you're not living anywhere near Southampton,
Tough.
There's
Travel.
hotels.
come along. There's hotels. Just may need to take a day off. We're sorry about that, but we've got a really nice venue that we want to share with everybody.
You're going to want to come.
And
gonna-
it's on
yeah.
a Friday, so you still have your whole weekend.
That's a really
That's right.
nice
So
way
if
of
you
selling
make
the
a
fact that it's
great
Friday.
if you make a great connection, you see them on Saturday and fuck them again. It's brilliant.
Wow.
Perfect
You've just been
situation.
talking about how you
Take
should
We don't
it
have to
slow.
fuck people
You
on the
don't
first day.
have
We're just
to.
throwing it
It's-
out there.
No, you don't have to. But if you want to fuck them and they want to fuck you, and there's been a series of negotiations between you all, and everyone's
all
happy on the same
consenting,
page, then knock yourselves out, kids. That's
and they
absolutely
haven't found
perfect.
your browser history.
Yes.
Then yes.
If you have a tentacle monster locked in your bedroom, why not bring them along to the social? We'd love them to
I
turn.
could have a
I'm bringing
conversation
7
with
guys
you.
with me to the
It's just 7.
Wow.
I think the likelihood is that you're going to go to 5 guys. Literally.
5 will be enough.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'll be
we're
fine.
talking about different things
Oh,
here.
We are.
this time I went straight to the burgers.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is very hungry.
Innocent.
This is
I
it.
have recently had my very first Five Guys experience.
I'm yet to have one in both.
And let me tell you, it was amazing.
Was it?
Yes.
It's all so amazing. She's missing out. I'm glad this is ages.
And then last
Brilliant.
night, I may well have had a Four Guys experience, which was also amazing.
You did. You
Didn't
did.
involve burgers.
Yeah.
This is why your knees are hurting, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Vixen's the same, by the way. She's not innocent for this.
Really?
Well, she had 4 guys as well.
No, she did.
Yeah.
Strangely, not the same guys.
Do you know what?
She was just outside.
Makes it
Yeah,
sound
it's
like,
like, hi,
there
people.
were a lot of guys there last night, but there really weren't.
That was the maximum number
There
of
were
guys
4.
possible.
Me and
Yeah.
Secret Vixen have been known to share guys.
We have, sharing
But not
is
5 guys.
caring.
I wouldn't share a Five Guys.
I know you
I
wouldn't.
love her, but I wouldn't share a Five Guys. Sorry.
Did you share a curry with her? 'Cause
Yes.
If we're gonna, yeah, okay. The other thing that I want to point out before we disappear for our nice bite to eat is that we'll also be doing some PCAP stuff
Oh,
this year. In fact,
Yes.
not next year,
Wow.
this year in
this
June.
actual year.
Yeah. So if you check the show notes, there will probably be a link to
There
that if
will
you want to
be a
get
link,
tickets.
I'm
It's in
sure.
Palm Springs,
In California.
early June. It's going to be awesome. These guys aren't coming.
I wish.
I'm so sad. If I
But
could,
not,
I would.
not because they're not invited.
No.
If we could, we would.
It's just
I
'cause they
could just
hate
send
us so
you.
much.
I could just send you, Secret Vixen.
Oh,
Do you know what? She's actually considering
Yeah,
that.
I can see the look.
She would definitely do it.
She would.
absolutely do it.
And we'd have to take care of her,
obviously.
obviously. I'm down with this
I could
idea.
fend
Let's
for
do it.
myself.
Did she fit in our suitcase?
I'm prepared to buy her a new suitcase for this.
Anyways, if you'd like to join us
You should
at
go.
PCAP, look at the show notes and you'll find a link, and then you can come along and see us and lots of other awesome people like the Average Swingers,
And we're going to
Wanderlust.
vaguely sound
In
like we know what we're
another
talking
country.
about.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it might be their country. You see.
yes,
Yeah.
true.
So if
They
you're
may be
listening,
American.
They
yeah,
might
if you're
be.
American, then
in
it's-
another state, then
Maybe, yeah.
If they're
I mean,
American, they
obviously.
should come to the Bedhoppers Social. That would be,
Yeah,
that's another
that's a
country.
whole-
Yeah,
That's
that's a whole dedication to meeting us, though, isn't it? Well, you guys, they might be coming to see you. Oh, well, probably. So, thank you very much for joining us, Secret Stag and Secret Vixen. How can people find you in the world?
You can
Mostly at
find,
our house, actually.
you can find me on Twitter at secret_stag.
And I am on Twitter as secret_vixen1.
Oh, for
And our
disappointment in
blog,
our tone.
and our blog is secretvixen.blog.
Fantastic.
And we promise we're going to be releasing a lot more content.
You've got lots to
this year.
write
So I've
about
done it
now,
now.
haven't you?
So yes, we've got
We've said it now,
lots
it's
to write.
on record. That
It is.
It is.
And any trails that I put out between now and then, which is tomorrow for when this goes live, I'll use that one line.
Yes.
Definitely. Mrs. H, do you want to get Secret Vixen to do the thing?
Oh, no. I want to
Wow,
watch it. I was about to say, no,
Look at her fold. That was.
I want to behold this
know.
moment in
She
person.
folded
Can
like a
Mrs. H
cheap
let
lawn
Secret Vixen
chair.
do the thing?
No, she can't.
No.
Look at the look on her face.
No, I want to watch it. I was literally about to say, oh my God, I'm going to get to see the moment. It's about to happen, people.
What about if Secret Vixen says do the thing?
Yeah, you can do that.
Mrs. H, do the thing.
Well, thank you for hopping into our bed.
Oh, good. Then we're going to... No.
What, we're all going to get on with it?
Oh,
Oh, yeah?
that's what she said.
That's fine. I've pressed record, so I'm glad that we
Oh,
captured this
fucking
one.
hell.
Suck an owl.
Suck on Alf.
Disgraceful.
I know,
That
right?
was stuff these days.
Okay.
Ready?
Quiet for the talent, please.